Hey, Free Mind, you crazy for this. Soulful. It's like our responsibility to make us feel something. You know, to make people feel. Make people feel what we feeling. Hey, yo.
Reggie here, and I want to welcome you to another one of my live streams. This is Comics Today, and I am tired. Yes, I am back from San Diego Comic-Con, and I can tell you guys it was a very interesting trip. It was an interesting trip that had me just overloaded. Sensory overload is the word or the words that I would probably use to describe my experience at San Diego Comic-Con. It was intense. You guys definitely have my apology for my tardiness. I was late because I was having all kinds of technical glitches. Couldn't get certain things to work at all, so I had to do a reboot. You guys know how that goes. Anytime you reboot, you have to bring it back up, and then you have to check everything to make sure everything is working. We are here, and I want to welcome you guys to another live stream. I feel like I've been gone for a very long time. I don't think that that's true. It just feels that way to me, but we are back. My parents right now are downstairs bagging and boarding comics. They showed up here a short while ago. I was like, look, I have 30 minutes before I have to do a live stream. Let me show you guys how to bag and board comics. Fingers crossed that they don't jack anything up by the time I walk back downstairs, but I have confidence in them. But I am going to inspect their work. Let's just put it that way. In a second here, I want to go to the chat to see what it is that you guys may have picked up today. If you hit your LCS, I want to know what it is that you have picked up, and if you picked up something and read it and it was good, I want to know what it is, because that way we know to put it on the top of our stacks. And that's part of the reason why we do this at the beginning of the Wednesday show, is to let people know what good comics are out there for people to check out. So I am going to do that in a hot second. A lot of folks have taken notice of the wall. I have waited a long time. I've waited a long time for the top of that wall to look the way that it does. Across the top, we have AF 15, and then we have ASM 1 through 6. All the appearances of Spider-Man are basically up on the top shelf. On the bottom, we have Secret Wars issue number 1. You have a couple of copies of that, both 9.8s. Depending upon how you look at it, the first Gambit or the first cover, cameo, I don't know. X-Men 266 next to that. G.I. Joe issue number 1, 9.6. Transformers 9.6 issue number 1. Thundercats. If you guys watch my unboxing from Monday, Thundercats were just raining down here. Thundercats issue number 1, a 9.8, and then Ultimate Fallout issue number 4 rounds out the wall. Some really awesome books. Some people want to know the theme. The top shelf or the top level, it's just wonderful ASM books, wonderful Spider-Man books. On the bottom are just mostly books from my childhood. That just remind me of my childhood, especially like the Gambit, the G.I. Joe, the Transformers, and the Thundercats. And then Ultimate Fallout's just dope. So we had to represent Miles Morales back there. So that's the theme for the wall. All right. So let me go to the chat real quick and see what it is that you guys may have picked up at your LCSs. And if you want to shout out your LCS, go ahead and do that. Because after all, this is a celebration of New Comic Book Day, and local comic shops are an important part of that. Steve White says he picked up 12 books this week. So far, his LCS got jacked on a diamond chip. Got jacked. That's strong language there, Steve White. Strong language. Says the rest of the books will be in next week. Fingers crossed for that LCS. Fingers crossed that does indeed come in. There's a lot of jacking out there. There's a lot of jacking out there in the streets. Quad Dad, brother, I need you, Quad Dad, to send me an email or a DM. I need you to send me a message of some sort, Quad Dad. I do believe that you are a statistician, or at least good with math. I need to talk with you, brother. 35 books in his pull, but catching up last week's pull since he was out of town. He went to Grand Cayman, a bucket list trip. That's what's up. Did you take all the kids is the question, or did you break them out? Did you break the kids out, separate them a little bit? Frog Brawler's up in the house. How you doing, brother? He said ASM 900 was good. Ant-Man was meh. Gambit was okay-ish. I need to read that Gambit. I need to read that. I'm kind of excited about that one. I need to read that. Something is Killing the Children, Venom, and Isolation. Ooh, Frog Brawler. You probably should have started with that. You probably should have started with the fact that Isolation is in local comic shops right now. I'm going to show you guys a list of the LCSs across North America that are carrying this book. Never you worry. This is one of the copies that was set to the side because it has some slight damage to it. But this is Isolation. It is real, people. Shout out to Doug and the rest of the creative team. We made magic happen. Scrolling through some of the comments here, seeing what else you guys may have picked up. L. Smith is up in here. Mark, how you doing, brother? Wild Cards #1, the variants 2, the Hollows, Hell Cop 9, etc., etc. We need a top 10 wall of Regie. Oh man, I'm gonna give you guys a little update on San Diego Comic-Con, and I may weave it back to right there. I picked up my double copies of double copy. See, that's how you lead off New Comic Book Day. Double signed copies of Isolation issue #1, cover B, and the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. Carlos says hi. Brother, so here's the funny thing. Fight the Good Fight. Fight the Good Fight had a buddy named Carlos that found me on day one of the con in the Short Box booth. Shout out to Short Box for hosting Doug and I. He shows up and he says, my friend told me to come see you to get a book or a book or two, right? So he pulls out a piece of paper. I don't know what's on the paper, but I eventually find out what's on the paper. It is a photo of me, and it is labeled Regie. So basically look for this guy. And when you get there, look for these books, and the books that he wanted were circled. It was and I think it even had the schedule of the booths that we were going to be in on this printout. It was the best note that you could give to a friend that you were asking a favor of. Like every question was answered. It's like, here's the guy, here's the schedule, here's what he looks like, and these are the books. Well done, brother. Well done. Let me see. Turbo Man to my true itinerary. Oh no, Todd with 2D. Todd has changed his name from Turbo Man to Todd. Brother, it's going to take me a good year to remember Todd is Turbo Man. Chuck is in the house. How you doing, brother? He picked up Gambit #1. The variants, what is that? PAD. What is that? X Factor 240 for Pad. Who is Pad? I don't know who Pad. You have to spell some things out for me, brother. I have con brain right now. Scrolling through some of the comments here. Who is that? Most Villainous, Detective Comics, 1062, Deathstroke, Something is Killing the Children, a couple of other books. Brian, how you doing, brother? It's good to see you. Picked up a $10 ASM 900. There you go. Picked up too many books and top loaders. That's right. Top loader says Liker Style. What is that? What? It still counts because it's new to you, Kevin. Even if it's not a new comic that came out, it is new to you. Therefore, it counts. So what did you get? Question, brother. That is the question. What did you get? Jason picked up 21 books from the LCS this morning. Picked up Venom, Dark Knight, Something is Killing the Children, and a couple of copies of ASM 900. Bulldog is shouting out, no creases. Are you guys? This is a throwaway copy. I'll probably rip the cover off this. But because it's damaged, I like to keep count of things to know exactly how many were sold versus set aside. So I want to let me take that off the screen real quick. What is that? Okay, all right. So this is going to be a relatively short live stream. I am seriously playing catch up from being gone for several days away from the family. So there's a lot of stuff that has to be done. But just to let you guys know, Isolation is indeed real. Isolation is indeed shipping. And since I have received copies, I have shipped 275 orders. 275 orders of isolation have been processed, not including the boxes that were sent to LCSs, et cetera, et cetera. 275 orders, a lot of books. It is chaos. I've got to do things differently the next time we release in a publication. I'm having to cobble together orders because people order, and I'm not complaining. People order multiple orders. I mean, I've seen as many as 6 separate orders that I'm trying to consolidate and all this kind of stuff. 275 orders have gone out. I want to thank each and every person that placed an order for isolation. I appreciate every single one of you guys. I am working as quickly as I can through the backlog of orders that have been sent in. We have orders from the UK, from Australia, from India, from Canada, of course, and then all across the US. There are orders everywhere, and I am doing my best to fill those orders as quickly as I can. As I mentioned, my parents are downstairs right now, literally bagging and boarding, and then bagging and boarding comics, and they're trying to get me set up so that I can continue to fulfill orders moving forward. And again, shout out to my parents for hooking me up with that. I am going to continue working my way through the orders as quickly as I can, but I do want to give a couple of shout outs to people. I want to give a huge shout out to Hip Comic. Hip Comic came through big time. They came through big time. They secured an ad on isolation on the back cover of issue 1 and issue 2. I have to acknowledge them. If you guys are not on if you are not checking out Hip Comic, I want to encourage you to please do so. I have to do this in a way where I don't ruin the book for those folks that picked up a copy. You know what's on the last page there. But I also have to give a shout out to JAF Comics in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. JAF took out an ad, and the owner of JFA took out the ad because he just wanted to help out with the project. He ordered a lot of books for the shop. They are on the shelf at his shop right now, but John also was like, I want to take out an ad just to help you guys out. So I want to give a huge shout out to JAF Comics for coming through. I cannot tell you, John, how many people want this back cover now as a result of what has happened with isolation. They want that inside cover, and people are also trying to get this backside cover as well. I've had a number of people reach out to me as of late, basically inquiring as to whether we have ad space in issue number 2. I think because of what they saw us do with issue number 1. If you guys have read issue number 1 and you enjoyed it, I want to encourage you to share it on social media, let people know. Let Doug know, let the creative team know that you enjoyed it. If you did not enjoy issue number 1, just tell Doug, okay? Just tell Doug. As we joked at the San Diego Comic-Con, Doug is the complaints department. He is the complaints department. Direct all negative feedback directly to Doug. No, fingers crossed that you guys have an opportunity to read Isolation and you actually enjoy it. That is my hope. We are in the process of working on issue number 2. And we will provide details on when issue number 2 is actually going to drop. Joe is shouting out Hip Comics. He says, love Hip Comics. I opened a store on it. That's what's up. Who is that? Most says, thanks, Reggie, for working on getting all of the orders out. Brother, I'm working as hard as I can. I'm going to tell you, there are a lot of orders, and that is not an exaggeration. I've processed 275 orders. 11 pages of 25 orders each. That's how I know I am working through it as quickly as I can. And there are a lot of people that still have not received theirs. So I'm trying. My first day off isolation, and I went and picked up isolation. That's what's up. That's what's up, TMX. Again, so let me do this real quick before I pivot off of this. I want to acknowledge all of the LCSs that have supported the project. I think it's important that we acknowledge the fact that the LCSs are vitally important to what we do. Let me scroll down. So these are some of the LCSs that are supporting JAF Comics, as I mentioned. Very first LCS to support isolation. So shout out to John. Nirvana Comics in Knoxville, Third Eye Comics with all of its locations in Maryland and Virginia, Boomer Comics in South Carolina, Dr. Comics and Mr. Games. I heard that at least one person hit them up today and picked up their book. They sent me a video of them with Isolation in their comic book room. Comic and Figure Addicts, one of my old LCSs in Union City. Shout out to Juan. Fantastic Comics, another comic shop that I used to hit in Berkeley. Captain Comics up in Ontario. I think they have a couple of locations. They are doing some wonderful things up there in Canada. Shout out to Walter. Cyberspacecomics.com, virtual comic shop, picked up some copies. So shout out to all of these LCSs that have opted to carry Isolation. I appreciate each and every one of you. The same way I appreciate each and every individual that placed an order for Isolation. And the same can be said of the people that showed up at San Diego Comic-Con to buy copies. I think we sold over 100 copies of Isolation at the con. We had one person at the con that came, bought a copy, talked to us for a while, went back to his room, read the comic, spoke about the comic on social media on his YouTube channel, came back to the con the next day and bought 10 copies. So I think that those 10 copies may find their way to the secondary market. That's my general feeling, but it is all good. It is all good that he read it, he enjoyed it enough to talk about it, and then to put his money where his thoughts were to buy some additional copies of it. So kudos to Hip Comic, as I have been on there since June 2021. Shout out to John. That's what's up. They do a good job over there, man. They do a good job over there. So shout out to Tina for throwing that up there. Definitely appreciate that. And a shout out to all of the subscribers that put me in contact with LCSs. A lot of the LCSs that I did not have direct relationships with decided to carry Isolation because their customers went to them and said, hey, it would be great if you carried Isolation. That's how we were able to get into many of the shops that you see up there. That's exactly how Mark got us into Captain Comics up in Canada. He went to his shop and he said, hey, check this out. Got something good coming. You might want to look into it. And we made some magic happen. So again, shout out to Walter up there in Canada. Scott's asking about Denver. No, brother, we do not have a comic shop in Denver. But if you have a relationship with a comic shop owner there in Denver, I would gladly have a conversation with them and talk a little bit about some Isolation. All right, let me go. I'm going to the chat real quick to see if I missed anything. Bear with me real quick. Your books are coming, brother. No, your books are not coming because you ordered. So let me do this real quick because I'm like all off task. So what I decided to do, I made an executive decision. Anybody that placed an order, my goal is to process whatever you ordered if I have it right now. If you placed an order for raw comics, you're getting raw comics if I have those raw comics. If you placed an order for raw comics and graded comics, I'm sending you the raw comics that I have now, and I'll send you the graded comics later. So eventually, I will bundle up all the CGC books. I'm going to send those off to CGC to be graded. When those come back, we'll go ahead and make magic happen. My goal will be not to get them pressed, just simply to get them graded, because the quality of our books is such that I do not think that they will need pressing. I'm going to send in good books. Fingers crossed they come back all 9.8 or 9.9. Fingers crossed on that. The e-cover, the premium cover is triple signed. There is a large bundle of those premium covers en route to Doug as we speak. They may already be there with Doug. Doug has to sign them. He has to get Delia to sign them, and then he has to send them back to me, and then I have to bundle them up. So if you ordered raw A through C, a graded book and a premium cover, you probably will receive your raw books before you receive anything else. You may receive a total of 3 shipments. Patreon members, I am doing the best that I can to add into your existing orders either your free copy of the Patreon cover that we're giving away, or your purchase copy of Isolation. I'm trying to, as best I can, consolidate. But as I mentioned, the orders are complicated. There's a lot of going on. There's some people, again, that have ordered multiple times over a period of time, and then I'm trying to cobble it together as best I can. If I jack your order up, I am apologizing right now. I have processed some orders pretty late at night. So if I jack it up, you have my apology. You reach out to me. I will do the best that I can to make it right. That's what I can promise you, is that I will try not to jack it up. And if I do, I will try to make it better. All right. The premium cover is dope. I'm not going to talk about it because I don't want people to order more of them until I get caught up. So we're not going to talk about the premium cover anymore. My eye, how you doing? I think Dr. Comic and Mr. Game is waiting for more. But sure, you're busy. I do not know that I've seen an email from them, because all the LCSs that are picking up books have to send me an email for them to place their order. And I have not seen that. They picked up a relatively small number of books. I believe all of those books should have been received by this point. And maybe they'll reach out to me if they do indeed want to place an order. I am still kind of sort of replying to emails. As an introvert, I am still recovering from San Diego. So I'm not fully responding to messages or comments or any of that other kind of stuff. You guys bear with me just a little bit. Joe, your stuff is en route, brother. I remember packing your order. I remember packing yours. And I think I got yours right. I think. Tina says she's waiting for her Steve Congé cover. Steve Congé, I do believe, received his order of his books maybe 2 days ago, maybe 2 days ago. They prioritized my order because I was going to San Diego, and then all of the other large orders like for LCSs went out after that. So I do believe Steve Congé received his maybe 1 or 2 days ago. So fingers crossed that he's able to get those processed, but it is a lot. It is a lot. Liger Style, there you go. I just dropped that information right there. A lot of people wanted that. Snug, stop talking about the premium cover, man. Do not generate more business just yet. I'm trying to play catch up. Let me see. I'm scrolling through. Okay, I think I'm all caught up. And again, if I mess up your order, man, you have my apology. I'm trying to do the best that I can as a single person processing all these orders that we drummed up. I blame Doug. I blame Doug for writing a good story and making me do all this work. I blame Doug. Doug, I'm gonna blame you no matter what. All right. So I think that's the download. San Diego Comic-Con was fantastic. I had an absolute blast at San Diego. I had a great opportunity to meet a lot of people that create content either on YouTube or on Instagram. And I'm not going to attempt to name all of the people, but the only person that I did not have a chance to chat with was Jim Mint. Jim Mint and Fee. Those were the 2 people that I did not have an opportunity to miss. And we were in the same place literally by moments. I was at the CGC booth. They were like, Reggie, can you sign this book? I get ready to sign it. Jim Mint had just signed it. There was somewhere else I was, and they were like, Jim Mint was just here. And he sent me a message saying, hey, I was someplace and I had just missed you. At some point, I want to connect with Jim Mint just because I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Jim Mint's. I watched his content before I created my own channel. And so that's part of the reason why I want to meet him. But I spoke with so many wonderful content creators and so many different personalities that are out there that are putting out things and that are part of the comic book community. So I had an absolute blast that way. I also had a ton of fun meeting people that watched the channel and having people tell me what it was that they liked about the channel. I found that incredibly helpful and validating. I spoke to one gentleman that said, I taught him how to press comics. And since I showed him how to press comics, he has pressed over 500 comics. That's crazy. That is crazy for me to hear, that a video or series of videos that I created has prompted somebody to press that many books. I think that that's cool. There was a young lady that came up to me and she said, basically, you changed the way that I collect. And I don't know how old she was, but she was like, you changed the way that I collect. And we had a wonderful conversation about YouTube, about the content, about what she collects, what she likes. That was just awesome. And at some point, the footage of that may surface, because as she and I were talking, I want to say there were at least 3 cameras pointed at us while we were having this conversation at the con. But I met a lot of people. I spoke with a lot of people that watched the channel. I took a lot of photos, a lot of videos, and I had an absolute blast. Doug and I had a lot of time to chat. I think it was the most time that Doug and I have had face-to-face talking, because it was over the course of several days, several Lyft rides and Uber rides, several sushi meals that we had. And Doug is a fantastic guy, and I'm very thankful that he has found his way to me through whatever means he's found his way to me. I'm very thankful for his friendship and also his collaboration. Huge shout out to Shortboxed for hosting us. If you guys are not using the Shortbox app to pick up your graded comics, you are missing out. This is a platform that is a wonderful platform that is built by collectors for the comic book community. They are part of the community. Shout out Shortbox. They hosted us a couple of times, let us store our stuff behind the booth. So I didn't have to lug it back to the hotel. I am very thankful for Gene and the rest of the crew over there. Shout out to Kevin, Dr. Crow, and everybody else that is associated with Shortbox. Huge shout out to Skeleton Key and Nerdy Girl. They also hosted us. A few people reached out to me and said, I did not know you were on Whatnot. I'm technically not on Whatnot. But when you're in somebody's booth and they are a Whatnot person and they're like, hey, do you want to go on Whatnot? You say yes. So that's why we're on Whatnot. We went on there and we sold in 30 minutes 22 comics. We sold 22 copies of Isolation in about 30 minutes on the Whatnot. Shout out to Sammy from Skeleton Key Comics. Shout out to Nerdy Girl Danielle. Again, both of these individuals hosted us in their booth, and I'm very thankful for their friendship. I was also extremely impressed by the hustle. They hustle. Oh my goodness. I walked away just inspired after spending time with all these great creators at the after parties and you know, when the booth got a little slow, just talking with them about what they're working on and how hard they work. It was inspiring to me. And so again, I've forgotten a lot of people and or not named a lot of people. Shout out to the National Cartoonist Society for hosting us. We had a blast in their booth. A lot of people came by and spoke to us there. But it was generally a fantastic time. So, yes, they were. Just really good people. Liger says, I missed the Whatnot sale. Regie is superstar. I don't know about that. Tina's and Doug are superstars. I'm just the guy that jumps on the camera and runs my mouth just a little bit. I will tell you guys, we are oh, Skeleton, she's up in here. That's what's up. How you doing? There she goes. That's what's up. It was a pleasure to meet you, Sammy. Again, technically we met before, but it was a pleasure to spend a lot more time with you, getting to know you. Shout out to Tony. Awesome guy. We had a good time walking the streets of San Diego. I am not certain who was in charge of getting us from where we were to where we ended up. But it was chaotic. Everybody survived though. Everybody survived. And shout out to Sammy and again, whoever was leading that parade of YouTubers and content creators through the streets of San Diego. Shout out to them. Let me scroll. I'm scrolling through the comments here. What else was I going to say? There were some other things that I wanted to cover off on. Oh yeah, I did. So we hung out with Swaggle House, man. We hung out with him, and Mickey and Doug and I just had just a really good time. We had a really good time. At one point, we were walking over to the Starbucks, and as we were walking, it was just a sea of people. There was just and all you saw was just people. There was no street. There were people everywhere, and I remember commenting to Mickey, I was like, "This is cool." This is cool. Just a bunch of people that love comics, collectibles, pop culture, just hanging out and having a good time. That to me was a really important moment when I was able to see that, because we were a little higher as we were walking out. It was cool. But Mickey, awesome guy. We had a fantastic time with him over a cup of coffee and then, you know, walking to and fro. He showed up at various booths that we were at a couple of times, and we had a chance to interact with him. Really, really awesome guy. We did. We had a fantastic time. And I would say it's draining. It is draining. Jay Biss says, I'm glad to hear it, San Diego. So here's the other thing I'll tell you. Here's what's crazy. Doug and I had a signing. we had a signing early morning. I think it was early morning. Either it was a signing or we had a booth to be at early morning. I can't remember because all the days blend. But we're standing out there and we're trying to get in. And I see Sharon from it's like Sierra Comics or something like that. She's in Las Vegas and in Nevada somewhere. And we're trying to get in. I see her come out and she's trying to get somebody. I'm like, who's she trying to get? And she's motioning to somebody and she's trying to get somebody into the building. And the person's basically being told they can't come in. I look, it is John Romita Jr. It is John Romita Jr. trapped outside with Doug and I. And I look at him and I'm like, you can't get in either. And I suddenly felt better about myself because I was standing talking next to John Romita Jr. It was cool. It was a moment that, again, had I not gone to the con, I would have never been able to talk to John Romita Jr. It was a really cool thing to be trapped outside with him. And just a lot of, I mean, that wasn't a great experience. I mean, it was a great experience, but it wasn't a great experience because I really wanted to be inside. But overall, San Diego was fantastic. It was a fantastic thing. I'm telling you, it was. And I started to be like, man, work you're doing on Spider-Man is just solid, brother. I decided to let it go. I decided not to go there and be that guy. I just wanted to be there and just be like, hey, commiserate together. If you guys can go to San Diego Comic-Con, I would encourage it. It was my first time going. It was certainly my first time having a booth and having a comic and all that kind of stuff. It was an amazing experience. I was able to hang out with a lot of dealers at the con as well, which was really cool. Like a lot of the dealers recognized me and I was able to kind of come behind the counter and kind of hang out and talk to them for a little bit. It was an all around great experience. And so there is a question in the chat about what's next. So I will tell you, we are going to try to make it to San Diego, to New York Comic Con. And I will tell you, going to these cons is not cheap. It is not cheap to go to these cons at all, between the flights and the hotels and the cab rides and the food and all that kind of stuff. And then also just the cost of taking time off of work and taking time away from family and then having to come back and play catch up. It is costly. It is costly. And so the goal is to try to do New York Comic Con, which I believe is October 6th through 9th. So we're going to try to go there and it will be an opportunity for us to meet some additional people. We will see. We will see what that looks like, whether we're going to be able to make that magic happen. So Mark says Garage Con or San Diego. Hey, it's a toss-up, brother. It's a toss-up. I tell you, if you come here, you won't be trapped outside. I open the gate and then you won't be trapped outside at the appointed time. But San Diego Comic-Con, I'm sorry, Garage Con is going down, I think, either November 12th or 19th. Mark your calendars. That's what's up. The airline tickets were too pricey. They were expensive, brother. No doubt about it. They were expensive. No doubt about it. Joe, you just might see us there, brother. You just might see us there. Wait, it was. So you got to think, I lived in California for a total of 12 years. So I spent a lot of time in San Diego. I've been to the San Diego Convention Center multiple times, basically sponsoring booths in that convention center for other things in my, professional life. But I had never been to San Diego Comic-Con. Certainly I had never crashed in a booth and had a book come out. So it was my first San Diego Comic-Con, but not my first time in San Diego or at that convention center. So looking at some when we were in New York, when we were in California, we had somebody show up to GarageCon. I think it started at maybe 8 o'clock. Somebody showed up at 7. Or maybe it started at 8:30 or something like that. Somebody showed up about 7 and I was like, hey, we are not ready for you. That's a no-go. That the pattern is full. The pattern is full for the moment. I think San Diego Comic-Con was my last con for 2022. Sam will be at New York Comic-Con. Oh, it's Tony. That's Tony. Okay, that's what's up. But yeah, 2023 will be back out and about. That's what's up. Tony, take care of yourself, brother. I don't know what it is that you have going on, but take care of yourself. Scrolling through some of the comments here, seeing what's going on. Matthew, how you doing? Said it was a cool meeting and chatting with you guys at San Diego. Hope to see you at the next one. You potentially will. You potentially will. It was cool. It was. Hey, man, if JR shows up, he's definitely getting in. There is no doubt about that. We will not leave our creators outside on the curb. We will not do that. What is that? Wait, GarageCon. You guys are hilarious. Scrolling through some of the comments. Okay. All right. So we are going to wrap this thing up, man. I have to go downstairs and check on my parents again. Isolation is out. It is a real thing. The main artist, Delia Gunderson, is actually selling original art from issue number 1. That is the original art that Doug and I have not already purchased. She is selling it. If you are interested in original art, if you are interested in picking up some of this stuff, you may want to reach out to her on the social media, specifically on Instagram. She is posting up spoiler-free images. If you want to see the real image, you can check it out. Do not ruin it. Do not ruin the book for other people because there's a lot of really, really wonderful stuff that's in here. And yes, we are working on issue number 2. And if you have an LCS that you think may be interested in carrying Isolation, have them reach out to me. Let's connect us so that we can talk and maybe make some magic happen. Possibly, if not for issue number 1, because I do still have some copies available. I need to take a tally of what will be left, but potentially also for issue number 2, which I hope to have out before the end of the year. We are working aggressively to make magic happen. All right. So with that said, we're going to wrap this thing up. I want to thank you all for hanging out with me. 2 videos have been released this week already. Both of those videos are haul videos. There's some really cool books. I want to say I unbox about 30 books. So if you guys have a chance, check that out. I do not know if there's going to be a video released tomorrow. I do not know if that magic is going to happen. Again, I'm still trying to recover. Cons and socializing takes a toll on me as an introvert. So I do not have any content that I have prepared. Will I go live tomorrow? I honestly do not know. So there may be no content for tomorrow, but fingers crossed that I can get myself back together to start releasing content Sunday through the end of next week. All right. As always, if you guys need to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care.
My body ate itself until it found passion. They got fat while we starved, but it's power in fasting. Until I turn to ashes, I remain stoic through my rap heroics. I painted 10,000 poems, then I drank the potion of poetry and motion. I started choking, it was potent. My throat chakra downloaded, knowledge hungry. I was embarrassed I could ask my parents for money when I had a full tummy. So I asked for wisdom, better than crypto, sweeter than honey. I don't take it for granted, I don't wear capes and masks.